Hi, so today we're going to talk about metabolic programming and trying to bring in Tom to have him talk about his experiences. Let's see. I'm going to try to do that. That's not how you do it. No. Okay. Let me get rid of that. Okay. All right, let's see. Bring them on camera. Bring Tom on camera. Add. Okay, we're adding you, Tom. Oh, there he is. And this technology is a wonderful thing. So
That's crazy.
So yeah, isn't that neat? So we're both sitting in our living rooms talking to each other on Facebook. And so, but the point of bringing you on was for you to talk about the different experiences that you've had over the last couple of weeks in terms of swipe. Okay, no, never mind. To of what you experienced going through some of the stuff that we implemented, and just a little bit of history. Do you mind if I share your details?
Yeah, go right ahead.
Okay, so Tom had suspicions that, like many people, that there were some things going on. What we did was we ordered some blood work, some lab tests, and the fasting insulin test that we talk about so much, the A1C test. And the A1C test was the one you were concerned about, I think, or that was the video that you had seen that kind of motivated you to take action, I think, right? Was that
Actually, it was a conversation that I had with you regarding um, diabetes and just basically that I had had some concerns. My doctor had previously said that I was pre-diabetic.
right? And
So,
so just so many people, 100 million people are sitting exactly where you were. 100 million is a lot of people. But so the blood work we did not indicate pre-diabetes. It indicated you were type 2 diabetic, essentially. And
yes,
and so what you did was you decided, we were talking about a program and starting to do things and make some changes, and you elected to jump in big time and start off with a 5-day water fast. And yeah, originally you were thinking maybe it would be 7 days, but I kind of said, I said 5 would be perfect. So just tell me about that and how that shook out for you.
yeah, I think I was I don't know, a little ahead of myself, I guess, where that was concerned, thinking that I could go 7 days, no big deal, right? Because I thought like I had quit smoking cold turkey, so I had some the ability to do that. But uh, basically we stopped at 5 days because it was time.
Yep.
And it was a rough 5 days. I wrote about it on your
Yeah,
Facebook
absolutely.
page.
Yep. Yep.
But the there was a lot of hunger initially. There was and on day three it was kind of rough, but I guess I was a lot sicker than maybe either of us thought
Right.
that we were. I mean, I wasn't physically sick. I wasn't getting sick. I didn't really get sick, during the seasons very much at all. But when the fat started releasing the toxins that it was storing, I got very, very sick on
Yeah.
Wednesday.
Yeah. You were
But Thursday,
detoxing pretty hard.
yeah,
And,
yeah.
and
But
then you've subsequently fasted and it's not been as bad.
no, the second one I did it. What was it? 5 weeks, 4 weeks afterward.
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
4 or 6 weeks
it
or something like that. Yeah.
honestly, comparatively, it was a breeze. I,
Yeah.
I was thrilled to death to eat Friday night when I was
Right.
breaking the fast.
The big
But
difference between the two fasts, the interval that exists between the two fasts, was fast number one, you were diabetic. Fast number two, you weren't. And so your metabolism had changed that much in that 6 week interval. So, like, initially you were hitting sugars in the 250s, And now,
Yeah.
what's a high sugar for you now?
Um, the last couple of days I was 92, 95, and then this morning I was 112.
So you're basically, in terms of medically looking at you, you're fully recovered. And we're going to do our 90-day blood work here at the end of this month to see where you are. How much weight did you lose?
This morning I was 30 pounds lighter when I weighed
30
myself.
pounds.
When we started, yeah.
Okay, so 30 pounds. We didn't even start any supplements till maybe what, 4 or 6 weeks or so ago.
About midway.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
you did all of this just by changing. First, you did a fast, which is just so powerful. And people are probably tired of me talking about it. I talk about it too much, but it's just so powerful to just stop eating. Stop eating for a while and let your body heal. And so you fell into this group of people who are walking around plowing through their days, probably not feeling super good, and thinking something's wrong or being concerned about something's wrong, but not knowing exactly what to do. And so we look at that. We look at a slightly different way of looking at these same numbers with the addition of the insulin test changes the entire dynamic, because we can definitively say, okay, Tom, this right now is a condition that we need to act on. Not, oh, maybe you should do something about that, but let's do it now. And so you diving in, if everybody did that, we would have such an enormous change of metabolisms and such an enormous effect on society in this condition, but they don't. So they think they're going to do all the same things that they normally do, but they're just going to take medication. And so you accomplish this with zero medication. I mean,
Yeah.
nothing, no diabetic, no insulin, no metformin, nothing. And it's a perfect example. And that part of the reason I wanted you to come on here is because just to let people know that this is a real thing, that this thing, no drugs, changed your life. And, what are we talking about? Like less than 90 days. A
Yeah.
pretty significant thing. And so one of the other things I thought was cool about your story was that you noticed your vision changed. And maybe you could talk a little bit about some of the things that you noticed with your vision.
After the first 5-day fast, I was in church on Sunday, and I was wearing my glasses, and I was looking up at the screens where the words were to sing songs, and I was realizing that I couldn't read it, and I'm looking around, and I'm not recognizing anybody's faces because everything was blurry. I took them off, and I was like, what is going on?
Right.
So it's been, 7 weeks now. The vision has changed. It's gone sort of back to normal, but my prescription still doesn't work. My vision is still significantly better. It was weird because I had difficulty far, and I could read everything like near, but it reversed. So, and now both are better.
Yeah.
So it was impossible to understand, except for the way that you described about the sugar attaching itself to the hemoglobin molecules, and not being able to get to the smaller
Yeah. And
blood vessels.
it just changes the dynamics of even the fluid in your eye changes because of the concentration of, insulin, nutrients, and all those other things. It's profound. The same thing happens to an extent with your blood supply. So I know that you still are using blood pressure medication, but I'm reasonably certain that if you continue to do the things that you're doing, that you'll probably not need that at a point, as long as your metabolism stays pretty normal.
It's my intention, seeing the results so far. The energy level that I have is completely different than it was before. I still need to do some physical activity more
Yeah,
so than I'm doing.
we've talked about that.
But everybody my age seems to get injured when they work out. I think I have a pretty
They
good,
get injured when they don't work out too, though. So they get injured getting off the couch. So yeah, so getting to the gym is definitely on our list of things that we want you to do. Even if
certainly.
it's not real intense exercise, even if it's just moving around more than what you're already moving around, because the number one glucose disposal agent on earth is exercise. And people say, and doctors will say, if you could put exercise in a pill, it would be the best pill ever made by anybody. But they don't put it in a pill, so you have to go and do it. And so one of the things that also too is to talk about is your diet, lifestyle changes that have accompanied this. You're doing some intermittent fasting now, and how's that working for you?
It's working pretty good. There is some times when I get hungry, but I drinking water, drinking coffee, or sleep, in the evenings, okay, well, I'm hungry, it's time to go to bed.
Right.
That tends to help out. So what I went right into the intermittent fasting right after the 5-day fast.
Yeah.
So I started basically what I do is I eat 2 meals on Saturday and Sunday and 1 meal Monday through Friday.
And so that's kind of a good regimen, like a little bit of cyclical fasting. So you're eating, a couple more meals on the weekends, and then during the week, you're just basically one time a day. We've talked about different things as snacks, different foods and things, but the idea that somebody would eat only once a day, for probably most of the people who are going to see this, is strange, foreign, or they think maybe dangerous. So how did it, from you being a full-on type 2 diabetic now to eating 1 meal a day, I mean, how has that impacted you?
It saved me a lot of money.
Yeah, it does.
I'm definitely saving money. Eating once a day, a lot of people do think I'm crazy for doing when they hear it. I think I did it occasionally anyway, but there was a lot of snacking in between.
Right.
There was a lot of snacking. Now I don't snack. I just wait. It's so much easier since I've been doing it. But when I first started, obviously there was some hunger, so I had to do things to distract myself.
Right.
But again, I'm not hungry to the point where I feel like I'm starving. I'm just hungry because I don't know. It's a habit. I don't know. Does that make sense?
It does.
Okay, because I just want to eat because I got nothing else to do, I think.
Right. And that's that consumption that we all do. Like if we're sitting on the couch watching TV and there's a bag of chips there, me personally, I can eat that whole bag of chips and not be hungry. I mean, you're just eating, it's not even a conscious effort for nutrition. It's just eating. It's for entertainment. So,
even now, after I've been doing it for nearly
6, 7 weeks.
Nine, since October 29th is when I started. I remember that date.
Yeah.
But even last night, because one of the things that I do is I do snack, but it's during my 1 hour that I'm like, because I fast for 23 hours and I eat for 1.
Yeah.
So, and when I'm done eating, I still snack a little bit, and I've fallen back in love with the pistachio nut and macadamia nuts. I absolutely love them.
Right.
But last night I was done eating and I was just mowing down on these pistachios, and my wife looks at me and she says, why do you keep eating those? I just looked up and I'm like, I don't know. So I pushed them aside. But even now, after doing this for as long as I have been, it's still the habit. It's still something weird.
If you had to say, on the range of being 0 being no effort at all and 10 being absolutely awful, how bad would you say this lifestyle change is?
Initially, I would say, well, I mean, the conversation that we had when you and I talked about this, I was pretty motivational, even though you may not have realized it, but pretty much my summary of it was that, if I didn't make changes, that parts of my body would fall off and I would die. So I would prefer that not to happen.
Yeah. That's good.
Initially, like with after the 5-day fast, when I started the intermittent fasting, like so Saturday and Sunday that week weren't too bad, but when Monday came, it was rough. I would say it was probably like a 6 or 7.
Yeah.
It wasn't a 10, but now I would say it's a 1, 2. It's pretty easy at this point. So you just really got to. It's like a breaking through kind of scenario.
You grooved in. So just
Yeah.
like you develop the habits that you have before, you can also develop other habits, and so it takes a while. I mean, your body,
Mhm.
I've been doing one meal a day off and on for a while. Um, and yeah, during the day, you do get hungry, but nobody ever died of just being hungry. I mean, we could all probably use a little bit of it. So, are you still checking your ketone levels? Because that was a big thing to find out, because the importance of that is, aside from testing insulin directly, ketones are the inverse. So when you're in ketosis, that means your insulin has dropped. When your insulin is high, you can't go into ketosis. So a simple thing that we do is we just say, okay, we're not going to take you for a blood test right now. Just test your ketones. And if you're putting off ketones, you're very likely at a pretty low or reasonable insulin rate. So have you tested that lately?
Yeah, I have. I'm seeing trace amounts. It's not as great as it was um when I'm doing the 5-day fast that
Right.
I was doing, the two
Right.
that I did, it was, I mean, it was pretty high.
Yeah.
But, there's trace amounts to like a low amount.
That's good.
Yeah. So I mean, it's there, but it's not to the high degree that it
Right.
had been when I
And
was
and
doing
one
it.
of the things that happens, which most people don't actually know, is that as time goes on, your body becomes more efficient at using ketones as fuel, and so you actually dispose less through waste. So if you're showing some on the stick that shows, yeah, I'm still in ketosis a little bit is fine. That's just the process that we want, and then we know based on that information that your insulin levels are being maintained, and that's an enormous part of this whole dynamic. So when we get our 90-day labs back, then we can sit down and put them side by side and say, oh, here's where we were, here's where we are, and there'll be, I think, a very dramatic shift. 150 points of glucose would be one of the shifts. Um, and I expect to see your insulin way low, half of what it was before. I like to see that number come in at 5 or less. Um, and now people are getting on this. Like, I'm reading doctors now saying, "Oh yeah, we want to get that fasting insulin down. It's too high." So yeah, it's definitely something that we're going to see big changes on your labs for sure. I know it.
Yeah, hopefully.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Any parting thoughts or comments, or if somebody's watching this and they may be on the fence about diving in with a program like this, what would you tell them?
I would say on the surface, it's like, to me, I used to eat any way that I wanted to, anytime, I would drink soda like crazy. To me, this sounded like it was insane
Right.
to do something like this. But um, to see the results that we're seeing, I mean, the fact that I've lost 30 pounds and it's only been like 2.5 months,
Right.
and I'm really not doing anything other than changing my eating habits,
Right.
really. I mean,
Right.
I think, I mean, what do you have to lose? I mean, if you're in a situation that I was, I mean, it was just a matter of time before something terrible was going to happen.
Right.
So even if you're not, even if you're a healthy person, I still think this is probably a fantastic idea.
Yeah.
I'm 100% behind it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Everyone I talk to, I mean, I've invited a lot of people to your Facebook page.
Yeah.
Talk about it constantly. People ask me. I mean, when they see me, they can't help but notice.
Right.
So, I mean, I talk about it all the time. I tell them, look it up. I said, people are doing this all over the place, and
Yeah.
it's really having an effect on people's health.
It is, and it's showing up in the medical journals. I have a video. I don't remember which one, but I'm showing pieces of peer-reviewed stuff just coming out that people got off insulin, got off all their diabetic medications just by intermittent fasting alone, without even doing the water fast that you did, which was an enormous catalyst to changing metabolism. It's just, and then we talked about maybe every 6 weeks or so, you may be doing a little bit more of an elongated fast until you reach your target weight. Which, how far away? Where are you at? Where do you want to be?
I'm at 249 right now. I want to be at 225.
Okay, so I mean, a little bit. You're more than half the way there. Yeah, so that's definitely obtainable, I think, and it may happen slower now because your body has lost a lot of the fat. And I have a video I'm going to do about this, but some of the fat that we lose when we change our metabolism is actually what's called visceral fat, and
Mm-hmm.
it's actually in and around our organs, especially our liver. Our liver gets insulin resistant, and as a result, it builds fat around it, and it's almost like a hormonal fat. It actually it causes more insulin resistance. And when you change your metabolism, especially when you go on a fast, that visceral fat gets consumed, and its effect on your metabolism is dramatically changed. Um, so you might not notice like my waist got dramatically smaller, but your all of a sudden your metabolism works better, and
Mm-hmm.
that's because of the impact on that visceral fat. And I think that that's going to be something. And I look at the literature and I look at people, doing this kind of research, and I think that's going to be something that gets talked about more in the future. Right now, nobody's really talking about it, but it's visceral fat has a definite component of metabolic disease. So that's part of what you experienced probably in the beginning, was just losing a lot of that, and then seeing your sugar just kind of just collapse to a normal level because you don't have all that insulin resistance around your liver. So, and one of the things, like, you were drinking a lot of soda, like
Oh yeah.
like the fructose kind, like the high fructose corn syrup ones.
Oh, I didn't read the labels, just so you know.
You just drank
But
soda.
I was drinking Coca-Cola, Mountain
Yeah.
Dew, Pepsi. Yeah,
Yeah. So
I'm
they
sure.
have high fructose corn syrup in them, and high fructose corn syrup is as troublesome to your liver as booze is. I mean, maybe more. So when you drink this, it just hits your liver so hard, and your liver develops insulin resistance because fructose can't go anywhere else but your liver, whereas glucose can go in your muscles, your brain, all these other tissues can metabolize it. Fructose just hits your liver like a punch, like somebody slugged you in the liver. And so people are guzzling this down without any understanding of that it is a very important component of getting rid of metabolic disease, is getting rid of that fructose corn syrup. So that's a neat thing just in itself, is that how much that affects your body. It would have been neat to have like a whole body CAT scan before and after and see, what happened inside of you. But on the outside that a lot of things have changed. So
Oh yeah,
with the loss of weight and all that. So and your head is smaller now. So
it is. It
it fits in
clearly.
the screen now that so, all right. Well, I appreciate you coming on here. I think your story is fantastic, and I just wanted people to see that this is doable. I mean, 3 months ago you weren't doing any of this, and now it's not that hard for you. So,
No.
and it's just encouragement to people out there who are sitting on the fence going, I don't know what to do, and nothing ever works, and blah blah blah. And listening to your story, you can't really think that way, because the results are amazing.
Yeah, I'd agree.
Yeah. All right. Well, I will see you around, and I appreciate you coming on. And maybe when we do our 90-day labs, we'll come back on together and have a little party as we look at our 90-day labs.
I'll be happy to.
Yeah, we'll drink an Arctic Monkey or something like that on Facebook Live. All right. All right,
All
Tom.
right.
Thanks a lot, man. I appreciate it.
Thanks, Doc.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.